Hey guys, and welcome back to Women Empowerment Wednesday. Today we have the beautiful Robyn out of Minnesota, and she's going to be going over peptide therapy, what it's done for her in her life, and then what it's done for the people that she's helped. So, Robyn, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your journey in this wellness space?
Yes. Hey, thank you so much. I am so happy to be here. I'm Robyn, and I'm 52. I'm going to start with that because people are always like, "Well, how do you know?" I know because when I was 18, I figured out I wasn't going to be in like the regular world. I wanted to help people. So, long story short, I landed in dentistry. My patients were my world. I thought I was going to do all that. But when it shut down for everybody, I was shut down. And how I got into knowing I wanted to continue helping people was because a friend helped me. I was living in pain. I was all the things that everybody goes through if somebody has something. And so that's how I partnered with Lifewave, was because a friend cared enough to share something with me. And so my journey shifted and I changed careers.
Nice. And I'm sure it's been game changing. So I can't wait until we dive into that and be able to tell like the viewers more about that.
Yeah.
But how has a wife influenced your approach to health, healing, and then balance overall?
You know, I take on everything. I'm one of those people. I married my high school sweetheart, had kids later. Yeah, we were married a very long time, and I didn't have my first child till I was 38. And then we had back-to-back kids. So having young kids when I was older, and also having the personality where I kind of take everything on, and I'm kind of the do-all, fix-all type of person. I balance that by, I think it's because I'm a natural empath also. Like I want to, I truly from my heart want to help people and solve things for people. And I thankfully have a partner that like understands that that's who I am. He just gives me my space to do that. And sometimes has to tell me like, reel it back or, go forward. Yeah. So, as a wife, and a mom and an older mom, I try to balance that daily. I start with prayer and I do all those things. Yeah. I am very routine.
Yes. Well, thank you for being an empath, because I feel like there needs to be more of us in the world that show people that they care and different things like that.
Yeah.
Even though, like you said, it can be a lot. So it's good that your husband does understand that and be like, okay, Robyn, like, let's come back. You're doing a little bit too much. Or like you said, like you can go a little bit further, because I feel like we get so lost in helping people that sometimes we lose sight of what we need ourselves. So
that's right.
That's important that, he's there for you. So what does an empowered era look like in your own personal life right now?
That actually came full circle. We moved to Minnesota from California last year, and that was huge because it showed me, well, when the world shut down, that was actually the shift, because it showed me that, wait a minute, we don't just have a box that we live in, and society wants you to be a certain way. But we're not all the same. We all have different religious beliefs, political beliefs, all the beliefs. But I feel like when I felt the shift happen was because people were saying, well, Robyn, you have to do this. I'm like, but I don't believe in that, right? Whatever the person's beliefs are, I felt a shift. And that's when we made the move to Minnesota, because I'm like, I want this for my family. I don't want somebody to tell me what I have to do for my family. So I also am very strong in my beliefs. I love listening to everybody's beliefs, but I empowered myself and my family. Like, hey, this is what we do. This is what we believe. Doesn't make us right. Doesn't make us wrong. And so the whole shift happened. Actually, the shutdown, opened up a whole world for me, and realized I do have a voice. I can make the change. I can share that. And if people want to listen, great. If they don't have to. It doesn't make me right or wrong. Yeah.
Yes. And I love that. I feel like during the shutdown, during COVID, like we learned a lot about, like you said, ourselves, our families, and then just making decisions based on what works for you and your family, and not just what society is telling you to do.
Yeah. I mean, it was a terrible thing, but I think for me, it was a blessing, because I was so routine, and you have to do this. It just really, I am
It
now
shook everything up.
Oh my gosh, the past 5 years have been the best,
Yes. Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
Okay. So for those people who may be new into this space, including myself, so I'm here to learn as well, what exactly is peptide therapy in simple terms?
So simple terms, most people see on commercials or people will see, okay, I'm going to take collagen. That's a peptide. Because so collagen's a peptide, insulin's a
Okay.
peptide. Our bodies are full of peptides. That's just how we're surviving. The two most common people know about are like the hormones.
Hmm.
They know about GLP-1, collagen, insulin.
Hmm.
So people will ingest them or inject them. And so, in simple terms, peptides are what's already in our body.
Okay.
And people know about them because they want to ingest them or inject them. But what I do is kind of opposite of the big pharma world. But you want to think of a peptide, why it's so big right now, whether it's what I do or what big pharma does. You want to think of it as it's a highly specific text message, right? So you're texting your peptides, it's sending your cells a text message, right? And it's telling them this is how you're going to behave today. And they're acting as like a signaling molecule. So your cells are these little, like, I'm trying to make it like visual. I'm very visual. You send
Yeah.
your cells a text message, they're going to go signal out to your body. They're going to travel through your system and it's going to say, okay, hey, today we're going to burn fat. Today we're
Okay.
going to build muscle. We're going to repair skin. We're going to give you some insulin. That's what a peptide does. So the peptide is the
Okay.
text message to your body to work.
Okay.
Mhm. Yep.
So with that being said, how does peptide therapy support the cellular repair and overall health?
So it's like the biological catalyst. If you didn't have peptides in your body, that's actually when you pass away. So it's the catalyst. It gives your body the blueprint to fix things, to repair. When you see people go on like hospice or they're
Hmm.
bedridden, their peptides are not activated, and that is with everybody. Like if you run
Okay.
out of the ability to have a biological response in your body, the energy, your cells are energy. If you run out of that, you're going to be laying down. You're going to be paralyzed. You're going to be all those things that people are like, oh, I just don't feel good. You've got to activate and get
The
going.
peptides.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So what initially drew you to like peptides versus more than like the traditional or the synthetic options of like medication?
Well, I was the medication person. When I was in dentistry, I'm like, oh, pill for every ill. This is what you need. Let's write you a
Yeah.
script. Like I had no idea. But like I said, when it shut down, and my friend, I'm wearing mine here today,
Okay.
she was like, Robyn, she knew I was always in pain. She knew I had headaches. I used to get injections up here for my headaches. They were shoving me full of Botox up here because my headaches were so intense. Like they were beyond the migraine. And I lived like that. I was injured when I was 13 and I learned to live in pain. But dentistry also brought arthritis. It brought my fingers. I couldn't do this. So I was living on Advil. I was living on all the things to suppress it. And she's like, I really think this will work for you. And I kind of laughed. She literally came over and she's like, here, stick this on. I was like, a little sticker,
What is
like,
this?
okay. And I didn't ask her. I just am like, hey, yeah, I'll put that on. But it was one day. When I woke up, it was less than 12 hours. I'm like, that's interesting. I could literally feel my body shift. So that's when it changed because I'm like, I knew I love science, so I love that. But I
Right.
dove into figuring out how is it that our body could signal and repair our peptides with a little technology, like a little
Patch.
sticker. Yeah. Yeah.
And so did it for like the migraines, because I know a lot of people get migraines. I get them. Mine are stress induced, but when I
Yeah.
get them, they come.
Yep.
But I've
Yep.
know several people who have lived like through chronic.
So I haven't had one. Of course, we're never allowed to say we treat, heal, or cure. Your body
Right.
will do that. There are techniques like you can put on. When I first was patching for the headache, because there's different things you can do, I was putting them on the temple. But you
Okay.
literally, one patch can do it all. There are different patches, which we can talk about. But the
Yeah.
reason when you get a headache, the blood is going there, right?
Right.
And it's like, I need to heal something. So the blood is sent there. There's a signal, but then it's trapped. And then you've got this throbbing. For me, it was called temporal arthritis. So I actually had arthritis under my temples.
Oh
And
my
so when they were trying
gosh.
to treat me for migraines and they were giving migraine and Imitrex and all the things, that wasn't working because I didn't have a migraine. So sometimes people think they have a migraine and they don't have a migraine. They just got some arthritis in there. So a headache is a headache. It doesn't matter.
Wow.
People feel it. You can put on a patch and that thing's gone. It really,
Okay.
it's like, it's almost too hard to believe. But for me, I was living in so much pain and my knuckles used to be the little old lady knuckles. I mean, literally in a day. I was a one patch wonder. I'm like, oh, what is this? I need to tell the world about it. So yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. Our people already came in mind who you'll be able to help. So thank you.
Yeah.
So can you explain what's happening in the body, like on a cellular level, when someone starts that peptide therapy?
Yeah. I mean, the reason they call it peptide therapy, so there's no peptides in the patch.
Okay.
The technology, so there's 201 patents on the technology of the pad to make the pad are amino acids, water, sugar trapped into a crystal. So when you mix those things in the lab, it becomes a crystal. The crystal
Okay.
is trapped inside the pad. So when you put the pad on, your body heat will activate those crystals
Mhm.
to almost act like a mirror to talk to your cells. So when
Okay.
it hits that technology and bounces back because we emit low levels of light, your peptides will wake up. So, the pain receptors, the collagen, the insulin, everything comes 4,000 of them per patch will wake up and send a signal, and it will go to the
Okay.
most important spot. Like, let's say you're trying to get rid of your wrinkles. If you saw my before and afters, you'd be like, oh my gosh. Living in California, I was a raisin. I'm still a little wrinkly, but it's like your natural Botox, because your skin
Okay.
will tighten, your people lose weight. It literally burns about 3,000 calories per patch because it moves your energy to wake up and work for you.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So
Mhm.
then, for the people watching, and again for myself, what are some of the most common conditions or concerns that these peptides can address? So you touched on like the
Oh, yeah.
arthritis, the migraines; those
Oh,
are both
yeah.
huge.
Yeah. I mean, the most common, when I help people, blood pressure, I had a friend get through lupus, MS, a
Okay.
couple of my good friends, Parkinson's.
Okay.
Again, we can't talk about the disease names. FDA owns those, and that's why we can't talk about them. But we all know people who have suffered from ailments, right? If you're not born with an
Right.
ailment, you're suffering, right? So it really doesn't matter what you're suffering with. It could even be anxiety. My youngest suffers from anxiety, so he wears them, and his
Interesting.
cortisol levels go down. Inflammation goes down.
Okay.
Sometimes people have autoimmune diseases that are very common. So it really doesn't matter what somebody has, and you could be the healthiest person in the world.
Right.
I blood test myself monthly, so it's all measurable by blood.
Okay.
If you want, you don't have to, but cortisol can go down. My husband was I wouldn't say he was a professional bodybuilder, but he was very athletic.
Okay.
And he tore the L4, L5. So he lived in pain. Very skeptical he was. But he no longer has a torn disc in his back. He
Okay.
also was a heart patient. So he had open heart surgery that failed. And they pretty much, gave him 5 years to live until you need a heart transplant. While he's going on 10 years without a heart transplant and living very healthy. So when I tell people, like, oh, they're like, well, I don't know if it'll work for me. I need to go get stem cell injections. Your body has its own stem cells. You
Right.
just need to activate them. So stem cells are activated by copper peptides. That's another common one. People will ingest
Okay.
copper peptides, or they wear the copper bands. They're trying to activate their stem cells. That's why
Okay.
they're doing that. Yeah.
Okay. So as you were talking, I jotted down everybody that came to mind. I need a peptide
Yep.
that I've recently talked to within the past week.
Well,
So
and most common right now, there's commercial after commercial, GLP-1, injection.
yeah.
We have GLP-1. So you have that. And when you inject it synthetically, you're going to get side effects. You're going to get the GI issues. Not everybody.
Yes. But a
Um,
lot of people.
but that is not natural. That your body still has to process that. You're pulling on your kidneys and your liver to get rid of that and detox that.
Yep.
And you have your own. So you can put on a patch, activate your own signaling
Okay.
system, and naturally your body's gonna be like, oh, wait a minute. So, another thing is I went through menopause when I was 40. Like, my kids were late after that last one. My body just went poop. So when I went through it when I was 40, I had all the hot flashes, all the things. I didn't have the patches. I wish I did. But now my
Yeah.
friends who are going through it, they're like, I am not having any of the symptoms that menopause will give you. Like, as a woman, we go through, oh my gosh, we go through so much.
All the changes.
All
Yeah.
the changes, but
We're
somehow
so lucky.
somehow we get through it naturally. But your body doesn't have to be miserable. Your thyroid, your metabolism, all those things, they're actually designed to be pretty healthy. So you can
Okay.
do it by yourself. Yeah.
So I know, and we're going to get down to this about the different patches, but I just want to ask a question. So can one patch be used for different things, or is
Yeah.
each thing its own patch? Like, is there
Well,
like a pain patch,
yeah.
anxiety patch?
Yeah, the
Okay.
short story is yes. So when it started 22 years ago with the Navy SEALs,
Okay.
because they live in darkness. So the long story short
Yeah.
is if you don't have sunlight, right? So sunlight's your natural phototherapy, the grass will
Right.
ground you. When COVID came, they were stay out of the sun. They didn't want anybody to heal, but I ran to the sun.
Right.
But
I was outside. I'm like, I'm tired of being in the house. I
oh
need
my
fresh
God.
air.
Well,
Right.
you're sicker longer, right? But if you just go in the sun and you ground yourself on grass, you'll get some
Yeah.
healing happening. But so the Navy SEALs were like, they live in the darkness. So they came out
Yeah.
with the first patch and they were getting stimulation and activation. So in 22-year period of time, it took 18 years to come out with the one that does the stem cells.
Okay.
Because how do you get the stem cells? So the reason there's 12 patches, because each year there's one for collagen, there's one for hormones, there's one for
Right.
pain, and we still have them all. We just call those the supplemental patches. So the
Okay.
stem cell one, that's like the holy grail. The stem cells will heal your body from head to toe. You
Okay.
technically just need one. I wear about 4 different ones because I like to activate specific things throughout the day.
Okay. And that makes sense. So
Yeah,
we're going to circle back on that, but I just wanted to ask while
yeah,
we were there.
yeah.
So then, as far as the patches, how long does it typically take for someone to start noticing these results? I know everybody is kind of
Yeah,
different. Everybody's
everybody's
body is
different.
different.
My own experience, I was a one patch wonder. My husband took about 8 days for the pain.
Okay.
So far, he lived in
Okay.
pain. He's like, they're not working. But when he was putting
Oh,
them on, he also was a heart patient, right? It
okay.
was working on his heart. So heart, liver, organs, that's where the stem cells are going to go first. Like we live in the microwave society, 5 minutes, we want dinner done. When people put things on or they ingest things, they're like, I need to be skinny tomorrow. Well, you didn't get that way overnight, right? So
Exactly.
for pain, though, there is one specific to pain. So you can wear the X39, which is the stem cells, and then you can put the pain
Okay.
patch on if you need immediate results, which at the time I didn't know. But for me, the one patch, I'm like, my headache's gone, but I'm
Okay.
actually pretty healthy. So I was just suffering with pain. And that was it. For somebody like my husband who had conditions, who had cholesterol, who had all these things, it took
Right.
me days to feel it happening. But at the time, I didn't even know there was a pain one. Now I'm like, you got this. This is what we're doing. But it's sent right to you. Like you can,
Okay.
send everything directly to yourself based on what your needs
Okay.
are. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So why do you feel like, and I feel like me and you probably already know this, but maybe for someone else, why do you feel like people are starting to seek alternatives to synthetic medications and pain management?
Wow. I think the world, maybe even just the past 10 years or even the last year, I think people are sick and tired of being sick and tired. There's an opening of, okay, big pharma's big money, big monopoly. Yeah, you need some pills. Sometimes
Hmm.
people need them to stay alive.
Right.
But the system is designed to give you a pill, now a pill for side effects, and now we need a pill to wake your kidneys and liver back up because they're slowly dying. So I think people are becoming more aware. I
Yep.
think the world of natural alternatives is huge. I mean, Chinese
Mhm.
medicine's been around for 5,000 years, and it's like, no, you don't need that. This is actually wearable acupuncture. So you can put it on your acupressure points. That's what I do. I
Okay.
wear them specifically on points. You don't have to. You can stick it where it hurts. You can put it on your cheek or
Yeah,
your butt cheek. It's going to work. But
exactly.
yeah, I mean, literally, I think the world is getting smarter and they're getting
Okay.
tired of the monopoly of what's happening. There's other countries that really are diving into this because it's natural.
And I
It's
believe that.
yeah, yeah,
For sure. And like you said, I think within the past 5, 6 years, I feel like people's eyes are awareness. People are becoming more aware of their own
yeah,
bodies and what makes sense.
yeah. And more
Um,
naturopath doctors are coming out and becoming
yeah,
concierge doctors because doctors are paid by insurance companies to have to give out prescriptions. So I have
exactly.
personal friends in the dental field, the medical field, in the professional athletic field that they still maybe will give the prescriptions and on the side they're like, go fill that and then put this on. Because they still need
Yep.
to do it to get paid by the insurance companies, but
Yep.
they will tell them about the peptide therapy and they off they
And
go.
it's a full cycle. And I feel like with the holistic doctors, like you said, the naturopathic doctors, a lot of them are private pay. And that's why, because they're not
Right.
taking, money from insurances, because insurances, you gotta keep
That's
that
right.
circle going with like medications and keeping people coming back. But they're like, no, you go heal at home, take this, let me know if it works. If not, we
Right.
can whip up something else.
Well, and what they're doing is they're setting people up with like the customer accounts. Like they'll be like, okay, you want peptide therapy? You can come in and get immunotherapy. You can do it intravenously,
Yeah.
or you can, $3 a day, put this on. They'll help them set up their own account and they can get it from home. That's what most naturopath doctors are doing now, because some people can't afford to. The other thing, if you go get immunotherapy like through an IV, your body has a 7-minute cycle, so a 7-minute half-life, and now you're like, by the end of the day that's gone, right? Like you're not getting that anymore. Now you got to come back, so it's also very expensive. So unless you can have time and money to do that, that's the other reason.
And that was going to be my next question. I know we talked about it before before this call, but for each patch, can you reuse them, or is there like a certain time that you have to leave it on, and then once you take it off, like that's it?
Yeah, they're activated by body heat. So once you put it on, it's activated. You wear them 12 to 14 hours, and then you take it
Okay.
off. So in any type of regenerative medicine, your body is going to use the energy. So it's burning, burning, burning while it's on there. But then you need to take it off. So that's when the rest and repair happens. So you need to allow your body to be like, oh, where did that go? And now it has time to repair. And then the next day you put it on, then you can repeat. So once you take it off, then your repair happens, but you also can build attenuation. So if you leave it on constantly, your body will slowly recognize that response and it'll work slower. But when I take it off, I have 2 cats and I also have a brown thumb. I kill my plants. So you take it off and you can put it on your pets or your plants, because they also will have the same response. So you don't have to throw them away. Yeah.
Good to know. So we are saving plants, guys. One plant at a time.
I can kill a succulent. It's so bad. Like I don't know. I just water it. I don't know what I do.
You're not the only one. My friend had gave me a plant and she was like, this plant won't die. You just need to water it like once a week or something. It still died. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm listening to what you're saying.
I know.
So I just don't have the green
water
thumb.
and sun. You can't do that. I gave it water and sun and I killed it. So
yep, mine would have like little patches all over like the stem. Like, come back, please.
Put your patch on there. It'll come back.
That's good to know. So are there any specific peptides that target pain, inflammation, and recovery, like an all-in-one, or is it again individual patches?
Well, the X39 is the all-in-one. So stem cell will do it all. A lot of people are like, but I want it now. So you put on your X39, and then there is one specific for pain. So it's got a negative and a positive polarity, kind of like a TENS machine does. So you put that on, and people can literally go completely out of pain within seconds, or at least get that reduction. If they're in like a 10 out of a 10, they'll go to like a 2 out of a 10 pretty quickly. And then for inflammation, there is one specific for inflammation. It targets the C-reactive proteins in your body. So there are people who get autoimmune diseases where the inflammation is so high. Once you put that on them, the cortisol goes down, you get inflammation reduction within 10 minutes. And that's something that you can feel happen. Like you're like, oh, yeah, that's also what people wear for anxiety. So people who have high anxiety, when they put that down, the body will find the homeostasis and meet it in the middle. Yeah.
Okay, good to know. So what would you say to someone who may be skeptical to move away from like traditional medication?
Well, we never tell people to stop your medication if it's life-saving, obviously, but like the Advil, I'm like, oh, I was living on Aleve, Advil, and Tylenol like every 3 hours. I did that for like 12 years. I mean, who knows what I was doing? And so I was worried, but literally when you put it on, the skepticals are my favorite, because I'm like, put it on. It's got an empty box guarantee. Put it on and tell me how you feel. And people call and they're like, that's just too crazy. So those are my favorite people. I'm like, put it on, just stick it on and then let me know how you feel, because it's clinically impossible for it not to work. If you're alive and you've got blood flowing, it's going to work. We know that plants, animals, and humans emit low levels of light. We know that when we were born, first thing that happened was a blast of light in a stem cell, and now we created a human. So that's what this is targeting. It's targeting your light, your stem cells. So we know that it works. The speed of which it works, we cannot tell you that, because you could have a pancreas dying. You could be developing cancer. Cancer starts out as inflammation. So if you can get that early and get the inflammation down, I had a friend that was diagnosed with stage 1 breast cancer. Well, that completely went away.
Okay.
Stage 4 is going to be a totally different story, but your body's actually designed to heal. Your body's designed
Right.
to not need chemo, radiation, all these chemicals. We've had some crazy miracles and testimonies happen by patching. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And that's like you said, that's life changing, like saving lives,
Yeah.
literally.
And people can still
A
take their
healthier way.
pills if they want. They're going to add a patch and be like, well, this is different than yesterday. So you can still take your pills, and eventually you're not
Okay.
going to need those pills. You'll realize like, oh, maybe I don't need to take those
I'm
pills.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And so with the peptide therapy, are there any like lifestyle habits that someone should combine with it for the best results?
Yeah, for sure. Because sometimes people will patch for a month and be like, nope, nothing's happening. So cellular dehydration, if you think of like a sponge, like a kitchen sponge, they're little
Okay.
holes. If you're flat, like a raisin, you want your cells to be plump, right? So if your cells are flat, most people, that's cellular dehydration. So Celtic sea salt, wake up, put it under your tongue, 5 seconds, drink some water. Those cells will immediately plump up. So Celtic sea
Okay.
salt's the best mineral from the Celtic Sea. Hydrate your cells, not Gatorade, not water. Drink a lot of water. You're just going to pee it out. You really need to get the cells healthy. So I tell people, drink a glass of water, have your Celtic sea salt, and then patch. Because if you're dehydrated, you're just going to get a headache. You're going to put this on. It's going to burn 300 calories of energy. And now you're going to get a headache. And people are like, well, I got a
Okay.
headache. Throw in some Celtic sea salt or a true electrolyte, right? So Gatorade came out with Gatorade water.
Yeah.
Basically, if you look at that, it's sodium water. When you go to the hospital, guess what the first thing they do? They give you sodium water. So
Mhm.
people say, oh, I can't have salt. I have high blood pressure. This is different because the first thing in that IV, that's salt because
Yeah.
the cells need salt. But not table salt. Morton salt, that's like just poison. So Celtic sea salt water, and if people
Okay.
I had a friend that's 350 pounds, they were going through a weight loss journey, they were patching. You can still patch. It's just going to help you along the way, right?
Okay.
So it's going to help slow down the cravings for food, noise, addiction, any
So like
type
an
of
extra
addiction.
boost.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. And so then if someone is curious but unsure, I guess like where to start,
Yeah.
what's the first step do you recommend for them?
Well, you cannot get it at Target, GNC, Amazon. People search Amazon. You will find it there. I would not get it there because it's illegal to sell any type of regenerative medicine on there. The people who are doing that are people like, let's say I have a bulk of it. I'm like, I'm just going to go sell it. You don't know if they're all active, right? Like they
Right.
could be activated. Maybe somebody activated and they want to resell them. So do never buy anything
Oh
on
my God.
Amazon or eBay. Totally illegal. So you do have to buy it through somebody. I'm happy to have you share the link. They can get them through me. They can get them through you.
Mhm.
It's a website. So you can, like my website would be lifewave.com/patched by Robyn. You can buy them retail or wholesale. So most people do buy them
Okay.
wholesale because there's an empty box guarantee.
Mm.
But yeah, you cannot get them like at a store, right? You need to buy them through somebody. And that way the company will give you the support and resources that you would need.
Okay,
Mhm.
perfect. And then I'll put that link below in the
Yeah.
description. And then if someone just wanted to reach out to you just to get
Yeah.
advice on your journey or just
Yeah.
to talk about, again, the peptides, what's the best way they can reach you?
We can also put my calendar link in there or my cell phone or
Okay.
email number. I do
Okay.
so many either private Zooms, I do group Zooms. We can talk on the phone, we can do email because sometimes people are like, well, I have lupus and Lyme disease. What would I do? There's
Okay.
protocols for all kinds of different things, or you just
Yeah.
patch and go. Like you can really stick and go, but sometimes
Okay.
people want to be specific. And so I
Right.
do, always a free if people want to talk about it, because once they start patching, they're going to get a website that they can look at of the protocol book and
Okay.
they can figure it out too. But I'm always totally open to do that.
Okay. So then again, I'll just put all your information below and then
Yeah.
anybody who wants to reach out, they can get it.
Yeah.
So again, Robyn, thank you so much for coming on Women Empowerment Wednesday. I hope that you enjoyed it. I know I firstly, again, took notes and wrote down names for people that I feel like what you're doing with your mission can actually help. And again, when the medication doesn't work, this is an option. When it does work, this is an option.
Yeah.
Again, you always want to be as natural as you can with your body, because at the end of the day, we only get one. And so we need to take care of it the best that we can.
That's right.
So I commend you for everything that you're doing, everything you're juggling. Thank you for coming on the show. Again, guys, everything that Robyn just mentioned, the website, her phone number, email, everything's going to be below. So please reach out to her. And then, as always, for Women Empowerment Wednesday, if any of you all felt like this resonated, please share it with someone. But if you want to come on here, tell your story, talk about your business, talk about motherhood, life transitions, anything girls talk, I'm here. This is a judgment-free zone, a safe place. And I just want us all to continue to grow into our higher selves and continue to make an impact. So that is another Wednesday. I hope that you all have a great rest of your day. Bye, guys.